Welcome to the Imperfect Dads Podcast.
I'm Justin.
And I'm Devon.
We believe dads care deeply about their family and kids,
but they don't always have a space to discuss what their life looks like.
Our podcast is a space for dads to discuss the ups and downs of fatherhood.
And how they feel like they're holding it all together.
Or how they're not.
Thank you for joining us for this episode. Let's get into discussing why we're changing the name of our podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
We are no longer Nashville Dads.
Yeah, I guess, I was really writing out the Nashville Dads name by still scheduling mostly Nashville Dads. So
yeah,
that was always the funniest thing to me was the different iterations of what the Nashville Dads was. Because originally you and I were the Nashville Dads because it was just you and I sitting there talking and living in Nashville. And then Dads in Nashville wanted to be on. So the name of Nashville Dads changed to the Nashville Dads in the Community. And then we both moved out of Nashville. So it's like, no, literally, it's just dads who are in Nashville. That's who we're talking to for the most part.
Well, that, and it was, we are technically originally, our roots are in Nashville.
That's true.
In a way. So for me, that's where I was kind of holding on to the Nashville Dads. Yeah. But then, like, I feel like we'd be frauds in a way.
Yeah. So. There's some dissonance that comes with that, or like, as I meet more dads out here in Colorado, and then I'm like, I have a dad podcast, and they're like, what's it called? I'm like, oh, the Nashville Dads, and they're like, but you're no longer a Nashville dad.
Yes, yep,
and
exactly.
I'm like, well, all three of my kids were born in Nashville. I lived there for 18, blah 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 blah. Okay, does that mean I can come on because I don't have any association with Nashville? And I'm like, no, you can. We really need to change the name.
Yeah. I mean, every single person that I was talking to, I would talk about how I moved to Murfreesboro, and then like, oh yeah, I have a podcast as well, the Nashville Dads. But
this is Murfreesboro.
they would say, "Are you going to change the name?" Like that was their first question back: "Is are you going to change the name?"
Yes.
So I figured that this is really the best solution for us. Yeah. Change our name to the Imperfect Dads Podcast.
Yeah.
Make it more of a national or even global. Hell, that'd be awesome to get on some people from other countries.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool.
I didn't tell you, but I did do an interview with a guy from the Netherlands the other week. I was on his podcast. So
cool.
Other Devon did an episode with him because he was found, and then other Devon was like, oh, you should talk to original Devon. And so I was on his podcast. It'll come out eventually. But it does feel surreal to be like, I like the thought of having the name The Imperfect Dads because it's not geographically or regionally based anymore. So I did always feel like a need to explain to people, like, because there are tons of dads out there. I'm like, oh, you have a great story. I want to, how do I share your story? And then they're like, oh, but I don't have any association with Nashville. And I'm like, oh, well, that's just like, you don't have to. That's, So it'll be nice to, open us up,
Yeah, I think so. And it is definitely different doing it through this Riverside than it is from the original hanging out, which I deeply miss. But having this connection with you still is pretty sweet.
It is.
You're 12 hours away, something like that.
Oh, for more driving? No, it's more than that. It's it's a 2-day drive. I think. Okay. So,
well, still having this connection.
Your sentiment is still there, Justin, regardless of miles.
But having that connection with you, that's still really, really sweet to have.
Yeah.
So
no, I will always think that, like, I'm glad that we're doing this podcast together just to continue our friendship, and just so that it's not just my nasally voice on every single episode is what all the listeners are grateful for. No, I always think one of this is definitely a podcast exploring fatherhood, what dads do with their day-to-day life. But a lot of what comes from that is male friendship, and what does male friendship look like as you get older? And so, like, our friendship is like a B or C storyline to like every single episode. So just getting like, how do we know each other? How do we interact with each other? And how do we support each other, even though we live 2 days drive away or something like that is, definitely part of it. And as I will always say, this podcast wouldn't exist without you. And so, the reason that this exists at all is because of you. So yes,
because of us, my friend.
Yeah, but you had to have the idea and keep pestering me about it. So,
but yes, I mean, with all the chaos in my life, you've taken the reins and have done a great job and been able to do a lot of podcasts without me, which is fantastic, and I'm very thankful for that, to keep it going. Because if we were to just say, well, we're only going to have the podcast whenever I'm available, we kind of lose that momentum. So thank you for being able to do that on your own. Of course. I would not be able to. I mean, like if it was face to face, I think I would be more comfortable doing it. But on the Zooms, I don't know if I would be like, "Hey, stranger,
hey, buddy, I've never met you before."
But you do a fantastic job.
Hey, thanks. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for taking the reins on that. And
man, thanks for being cool with it. I do think while it is a lot more fun to do interviews in person, face to face, and I'm not just talking audio quality, as everyone clearly agrees with me, but like it does, like I know a lot of the interviews we've been able to do in the last year, all the publicists I've gone through to get interviews on, is probably because we've been able to do it remotely that they've been able to say yes. Yeah. So like even Dave Barnes and John McLaughlin, oh man, trying to get those two guys who are on tour all the time or recording music to be like, hey, when can you meet in person? Like that probably would have taken a long time.
Yeah. How about never?
Never. Yeah, basically. So no, to send someone an email that's like, hey, Sadler Vaden, like I just cannot, like, do you have like 30 minutes or an hour in which we can do a call? I'll make sure to keep it to an hour. It's different than like, hey, you got to drive 30 minutes to the studio. Then we'll talk for a little bit, just like, hey, who are you? Who am I? And then 20 minutes after talking, then we'll start recording the episode. Then an hour and a half later, we'll end the episode. Then we'll talk like whenever we meet in person, it was really fun to spend like the entire Sunday afternoon hanging out and all of that. But it's a little bit, we've been
able to expand more.
Yes. Our bank of episodes that I have that I need to record or need to edit and get out there is like a lot easier to do than it was when meeting in person.
Sitting at our house as opposed to saying, hey, Heather and Haley, I'm going to be gone for 3 to 4 times.
Pretty much all of Sunday, like the entire Sunday afternoon. And by the way, I went to the soccer game last night. See ya. Just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
I do want to make sure just to say that like the city of Nashville will always be one of like the most dear cities to me of all time. Lived there for like 18 years, went to college there. A lot of my identity was definitely like formed in that city. So even though we're losing the Nashville name, like I can't express enough how humbling it was to do this podcast in Nashville, have the mantra or name of the Nashville Dads, and like be more part of the Nashville community, to talk to politicians, to talk to so many business owners, to talk to so many musicians in town was really like beautiful and made me very in tune with like the heart and soul of Nashville, even as it goes through millions of changes and is not the city I originally moved to, like any city after 18 years. Like it always felt, I think someone recognized me by my voice once. And I was like, this is weird. You shouldn't know I exist. All right, cool.
Or just having like, when you're having a conversation and you tell them that you do have a podcast and it's the Nashville Dads. Oh man, I've heard about you.
Yeah.
That's so cool to have that experience. And and for other dads to want to listen and for other dads to just want to be involved and be on the podcast as well. It's so cool.
Because I think one thing I appreciate about you, Justin, is you also have this earnestness to you of like the fact that anyone wants to come on this podcast. It's like, oh, that's great. Like, that's awesome. Like no part of me is like, oh, you're not a good enough guest or anything like that. It's like, oh, cool. Someone wants to talk to us about being dads. How do I make sure to represent your story the best and share it? And like, I hope that energy always stays with us, because that's why we started, was to find dads, share their story, and hopefully connect with them.
That's the main core of all our people. I mean, is just regular guys like me and you.
Yep.
Every once in a while we get really
pretty cool people,
cool guests on that are either musicians, producers, or athletes, or politicians. But that's just the extra. It's getting to know a lot of these other guys like Doug and Evan and Jordan. it is so cool to be able to say, hey, these are my friends now.
Yeah.
Because of this podcast.
Yeah.
And because of the Dad Walks.
So I always thought the Nashville Dads was 2 parts. It was the podcast, which was us meeting with dads, sharing dad stories. And then it was the Nashville Dad Walks, which was dad community in Nashville. Yeah. And we are hopefully still going to continue the Nashville Dad Walks and all of that. Other Devon, the guy who leads it, is about to have a 3rd kid, and they're actually going to move in May. So there is like a vacancy of like someone taking lead on it right now. So if you are a dad in Nashville and you are very passionate about dad community and dads hanging out, please reach out to us, because we are looking for someone to help us lead that and make sure that community keeps going, because it's great to be able to share stories, but most of our episodes are about everyday life, and everyday life is usually based around the community that you have. And so that was the dream of Nashville Dad Walks and doing Dad Walks, was how do we implement this into day-to-day life so dads can know they're not alone and actually have like a physical person they can call, not just like a podcast that they listen to.
Yeah. And we were talking about this before we started recording for this episode, but possibly creating other networks of community in Littleton, where you are, or Murfreesboro, where I am. So if anybody's interested that is listening and in those areas, and if you're interested in Dad Walks, reach out to us. We'd love to know. We'll create a group me similar to what we have for the Nashville Dads, and then be able to create that community. And let's keep on building. I mean, that'd be so awesome to have multiple little communities of dad walks and dad nights out in different cities.
And like, I don't know, as we had the Instagram handle of just the Nashville Dads, like we would get messages from people that were like, hey, I'm going through a divorce. Do you know of any, like, do you know, like, who's a counselor I can talk to? Like, I think dads are eager to find resources once they know where the resources are. And I really want that to keep happening. Like, I want dads who are like, how do I get help? That was an aspect of this I never knew how to build out more, of looking at dads and like, if you need help, let us direct you, let us help you, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we could possibly put that type of information on our website as well, as like places that you can call, places that you can reach out to. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so too. Just
have a resource folder or link.
Yeah, I think dads are usually, I don't know, I've said it a billion times, or let's see, we have 128 episodes, maybe 128 times, that I think dads do want to, I believe inherently in my heart that dads want to get help. They just don't always know the first step to take. And if there's any way we can be that first step, or we can help with that first step, then that'd be very meaningful. Yeah.
Amen, brother.
Yep. Other thing, why did we choose the Imperfect Dads? I think we haven't discussed, like, is there any reason we chose the Imperfect Dads as the name for the podcast? Besides, it was available.
I can't remember. Like, I remember texting you saying, hey, what about this?
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
But I can't remember how it came to be.
I will just say that rebranding sucks, because you're trying to think of a name that isn't like too niche, too quirky, too anything, but also like sticks to the heart of why you started something, but you started that something under a differerent name. So, and is also available. So that's
the other thing. The availability part was the worst. I remember putting in to the AI, the AI, trying to figure out just a catchy but not cheesy or boring podcast name.
Yes.
And it came up with some really great ones, but they were taken.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was very surprised that the Imperfect Dads was not.
Yeah, me too. Now, granted, there's the guy from Wisconsin, the not perfect dad, who we might get on at some point in time. So if we have him on, we'll have to be like, hey man, just so you know, we're not trying to, you have your own brand, we have ours.
Yep.
Other ones we had thought of, I thought what was crazy was like to Google it and then see that someone had created a podcast with that name, but the name was dormant for like 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
And then being like, what's the intellectual property rights on a podcast name that hasn't released an episode on 3 years? Is it dead? Like, because, songwriting credits is what, life plus 70? Clearly, you know this fact, Justin. So what's intellectual property rights for podcasts that are no longer active? Never found out.
Never found out? Okay.
Because I still really wish we could have done like Day of the Dad. That one always made me.
Day of the Dad?
Yep. Dad Dialogue. That's actually, I'm pretty sure, the podcast that I did for the guy in the Netherlands. His name, Dad Dialogue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
that one has like 5 different variations.
It does.
I was stuck on that, being like, that's it. That's it.
It's got to be it. I still am going to try to sneak in the National Dads. That way I can finally have a podcast where I talk about the National every single day with dads. So that might just be a side project. Yeah.
Dads on deck, the naive dads, Dad and Company.
Yep. Which would be, do you know, like have you ever listened to like Dead and Company? Did you even know that? Okay. So
no.
Grateful Dead. So you have the Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia. Most of them are dead. So John Mayer goes on tour with them and calls them Dead and Company since he's not an original member of it. So if we ever want to start, we'll start one podcast that's about liking the National too much, and then we'll start one about liking the Grateful Dead too much and call it Dad and Company. So
there you go.
Gosh. Yeah, no, there are lots of them where like I feel like we'd be like, oh, I like how this feels. I like the vibe of this. And then we Google it and we'd be like, okay, so there's a podcast that started in 2013, but then resurrected in 2018. And then it died. And you're just like, I just want a name that doesn't confuse people whenever I say it to them.
Yep. Yeah. But I like the Imperfect Dads. I think it is perfect for us because we are imperfect.
That's right.
And it's just a good representation of dads in general and everyday dad. If you think you're perfect, you're lying to yourself.
You're not. And like whenever I do like the sales pitch to anyone who wants to come on, because most dads are like, oh, why would like if I come on a dad podcast, like what do I need to talk about? And I'm like, this will never be here's 20 ways to be a perfect dad. This is a like, dude, what's your life like? How's it looking? How's it feeling? And that seems very disarming to people. To be like, oh, I just get to talk about what my life is like as a dad. It's like, yeah, pretty much. That's all we're here for.
Yeah, we hang out. We
hang out.
Get to know you. You tell your story.
Yeah,
and everybody, like you say a million times, everybody has a story to tell.
Yep.
And
pretty much.
Even when they think it's mundane and not important or not exciting, to them it matters.
Yeah.
And other dads listening could possibly take some of that story and insert it into their lives and how they're handling their marriage or handling their kids.
Yeah.
It can help.
Yeah. But no, I think also like Imperfect Dads, I'm excited for that to be our new name because you just said, like, no dad is perfect at what they do. And like, it's not a podcast to have dads come on and talk about how they're not perfect, but just like, man, if you think you need to be perfect, like just stop, remove that expectation from yourself because that's only going to lead to disappointment and resentment within yourself. And like, you can't be a perfect dad. You aren't going to be. So stop it. No. Stop assuming that's, so who are you? Remove that expectation of yourself and who are you? And let's talk about it.
We are all imperfect.
Yep.
Embrace it.
Embrace it. Yep. Accept yourself. Know who you are. Love yourself. And then you'll be a lot kinder to everyone else, especially your children.
Well, Devon, I'm looking forward to this new chapter.
Yes, me too.
And I hope we can continue this for as long as we can and meet some great people.
Yep. Yeah. And I think we are expecting for March 31st to be whenever we change the Instagram handle, change the graphics, do all that stuff. So whenever it's almost April and you're like, who is this? When did I start following the Imperfect Dads podcast?
And we got the Wild Feathers music for our intro and outro. So thank you, Wild Feathers, for letting us use you guys for that.
Oh, that's it. I need to give a shout out to Matt Oakes. So whenever the car was stolen, I did like an Instagram story being like, hey, I need new music because I don't have any music anymore for the podcast. And this guy, his name is, let me look him up on Instagram. His name is Matt Oakes. His Instagram handle is Matt Oakes. He just pretty much immediately reached out. I was like, hey man, here's a drop file link to all of like, I just have some like sound beds basically of me playing piano and stuff. And it's just some stuff I've come up with. If you want to use any of it, that'd be really cool. Please do. And that's just like, I think he he follows us on Instagram, but he was just me like, hey man, like here's some music if you want it. I love what you guys are doing. And that was some support that I did not anticipate. That was really cool. I expected someone, because we have so many musicians on this podcast, someone be like, yeah, sure, I think I got something somewhere. But for someone to almost immediately be like, yeah, man, here's a drop file link to all of the sound beds that I've created. Please take and choose whatever you want. Was just very, very cool. So thank you to Matt Oakes for doing that and helping us out in that way.
We should potentially have him on.
We should.
As a guest. Just as a thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Get to know him.
Yep, pretty much.
He has been a part of our podcast for
it's like 6 months.
6 months now.
So, yep. Now I'll reach out to him. I think he lives in Texas, but now we don't have the regional limitation of our name.
Yep.
So the world is ours.
The world is ours.
But yeah, man, this is really fun to do this with you. I still feel like we get interviews where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm talking to this person. And like, it's just really cool. And I think this podcast has made like, I think my wife has told me like, this is one of the only things in my life where I've ever been like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm taking charge of making all these decisions. We're normally much more passive, much more just kind of like, it's whatever. I'm good with whatever. I'm like, no, this is how I want this to look. I'm doing all of this. So she's like, oh, you do have that side to your personality. That's good to know. Because I'm so like laid back and like, blah, blah, blah. So I think this podcast has taught me a lot about myself, taught me a lot of really cool things that I never would have learned without doing this.
Awesome. Glad to be a part of it, brother.
Just keep following us on Instagram. And we'll see what the next chapter brings.
Yes, please continue to listen to us even after we have changed our names.
Yes.
Especially the people in Nashville.
Yeah.
We would still love to have that community going and your support. And please send our information or just reach out to other people and let them know about us.
Yeah. I
think that'd be great.
Yep.
So thank you.
And we are genuinely always looking for new guests. So if you are a dad, wherever you live, and you're like, oh, I would like to, I have a story to share or something like that, and send us a message on Instagram. I think I read and respond to every message we get. So yeah, please do. That's why we exist and why we're here.
Yeah. You don't have to be a musician or a producer or anything like that. If you are interested in coming on the podcast, if you want to share your story, reach out to us.
Yep. It's because I schedule most of the guests, and I'll schedule one musician. They're like, by the way, I'm friends with this guy. Then I'm like, oh, I would love to have that guy and that guy. So it's just always waterfalls to
Well, I mean, that's the bulk of our guests are through word of mouth and the relationships that they have with other people. So,
which is why we did, I think, every dad at the 12 South Farmers Market.
Yeah.
So, yes, nope. I know we have a lot of musicians on, a lot of chefs and all that, but like that's because of what you just said of word of mouth. You have one chef on, suddenly other chefs are like, I want to come on. So happy to tell any dad story that we possibly can.
Yep. Awesome.
Sweet. Well, Justin,
anything else?
I think that's it. That should be good.
Wrap
it up. And I'll see how many episodes of Storybots Josh got to watch while we did this. Might have been three Storybots, but not too many Storybots. So anyway, appreciate you, Justin. And
appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. Bye.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the episode.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Imperfect Dads Podcast.
And make sure to subscribe and rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to us.
The music is provided by the Wildfeathers.
And all episodes are produced and edited by me.
Make sure to tune in Mondays for new episodes.